Sagittarius, like us all, these have been traumatic, interesting times for you. And I think September is no different. The overall energy is that of the Knight of Cups. A knight who's full of love, a knight who wears his heart on his sleeve. A knight who maybe is a little bit of a fool for love and gets taken. But right now, I think that's exactly the characteristic that you're going to be blessed for. In the past, you were definitely scoring some victories, and people recognised that you were scoring victories. Even though you've had to change your beliefs and opinions, you've nevertheless been making progress. Continuing this idea of love, your current energy is the Queen of Cups. So the Queen of Love. A very nurturing energy, a very loving energy, a great energy. In the future, you're the King of Cups, so it is all about love, isn't it? I'm not certain this is about a lover so much as filling your heart full of love. King of Cups, somebody who's in control of his emotions but understands those of others. The energy that leads to the outcome is another knight. So whereas the Knight of Cups is the Knight of Love, the Knight of Swords is bold, brave, fierce, but very fast, maybe sometimes jumps to the wrong conclusion. Do you? I think maybe you do, because this leads to the outcome, and the outcome is fear of the unknown. I don't see it as a rational fear, and indeed I think the universe is agreeing with me, because it's saying what would change everything is the Wheel of Fortune. So there's definitely change afoot, yet again, which should bring in with it good luck. If only you could grab on to this change. You will eventually anyway, but if you spot it and grab it quickly, then I think you can avoid some pain. Now, as I say, I think a theme running through September for you, Sagittarius, is that of love. I mean, it could be about a love, but I think it's more about opening your heart to love, being guided by love, being guided by your heart. And these are very admirable characteristics to have at this time of major change. So something that runs through all this is this Knight of Love, as it were. Somebody that wears his heart on his sleeve. Somebody that recites poetry. Somebody that maybe is a fool for love and doesn't really care if they're hurt a few times, because love is more important than the ego. Very admirable, very admirable. Now, in the past, although you've had to change your views, it's been testing somewhat, the past, but it's not been that without its highlights, and you've been making progress. I think you probably are aware of the progress you've made. Sometimes with this energy people aren't, but I think you are. But what's even more important about this energy is that others are aware of the progress you're making. You're getting public recognition for what you do, and that must feel really good to be able to think, well, yeah, others recognise it. And continuing this sort of theme of love, we have the Queen of Cups now. So it's going in the right direction. We've got the Knight of Cups, then the Queen of Cups, and then next we have the King of Cups. So it's following a natural progression, this. Queen of Cups very nurturing, very nurturing. Again, somebody that's full of love. Again, somebody that maybe wears her heart on her sleeve. Again, not as bad as the Knight, but, maybe something of a fool for love. But above all, just this lovely, kind, nurturing type of energy. And this is your current energy. And in the future, we move up to the King of Cups. Now, the fact that we're going sort of Knight, Queen, King is suggesting to me a natural progression, that you really are learning from each stage and moving on, and that love really is massively important to the changes that are going on in your life. The King is somebody who has control of his emotions, understands his emotions, but also understands those of others. If I've said that the Knight is a fool for love, and to a certain degree so is the Queen, I suppose to a lesser degree so is the King. You can see he's sitting in his throne, but surrounded by water there, almost like King Canute. But as I said with the Knight, it doesn't matter to you, because love is what matters. Now, the overall energy, as I've said, is the Knight of Cups. And nothing takes away from that, but we do have another Knight here, another Knight that leads to the outcome. And the outcome isn't necessarily a good outcome. So this is a Knight of Swords. Now, he's bold, he's brave, he's fearless, he's probably the most ferocious of all of the Knights. He's extremely fast, but he is somewhat fast to the jump to the wrong conclusions. And I can't help but think this is this is a warning of, particularly when juxtapositioned of the overall energy of the Knight of Cups. So whereas the Knight of Cups is someone that doesn't allow the ego to get in the way, maybe this jumping to the wrong conclusions is the ego resurrected itself. Now, a part of the reason for my concern about the Knight of Swords, and it's a minor concern, it's nothing great, you're going to get there anyway, because in the future you are the Knight of Cups, King of Cups. So you're going to get there anyway. But what would change things is the Wheel of Fortune. Well, that suggests to me that there is further change here, and that maybe you don't spot it, or maybe you simply ignore this further change. This should bring with it good fortune. And I think you're being encouraged by the universe, your ancestors, God, Allah, whoever you see it as being, you're being encouraged to jump on this change, to go with this change, to grasp it. I'm not certain that you do. So it would change the outcome, and we better talk about what the outcome is now. The outcome that, as I say, I don't think is a great outcome, is the energy of the moon. So it's an energy of fear of the unknown. And that comes out of you possibly rushing to the wrong conclusion about things. And it's such a shame when your heart was full of love, when you had everything. Now, I think it's a temporary thing. I don't think it's something that lasts. You can see this, is it a lobster? I'm never certain. But it's crawling out of this river, and has got to get past those two creatures. I'm not sure what they are, but that's the only thing to be fearful of. Once it's past them, you can see these wonderful Hindu gates, and beyond that is a beautiful mountain and a beautiful stream. Yes, it's in the moonlight, so you can't really see, but there's nothing really there to be frightened of. And I don't think there is for you, apart from maybe the cockerels crowing like that all the time. I mean, Sagittarius, like us all, you've had to change your opinions, you've had to confront your ego and beliefs so many times. And I think it continues in September. You've clearly scored some victories, and I think you're aware of it, but the great thing is other people have recognised it as well, which must be very satisfying. The overall energy is the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Love, something of a fool for love. But your current energy is the Queen of Cups, and your future energy is the King of Cups. So there's a wonderful symmetry there. Now these are all about love. It's all about opening your heart up to love, but also taking decisions based on love. And at this time of major change, it's exactly the right thing. Following love rather than the ego. So it's absolutely the right thing that you're doing. I think, however, the ego does come back slightly. You see, we have the Knight of Swords, a brave, fearless, bold, probably the most ferocious of all the knights. Very fast, but very fast to jump to the wrong conclusion. What is jumping to the wrong conclusion? Surely this is about the ego reasserting itself. That's what it feels to me. And as a result of it, you're fearful. You're fearful of the unknown. You don't even know what it is you're fearful of. And there's no evidence that you've got anything to be fearful. But fear is really the opposite of love. So it's something that's just holding you back here. As I say, there's nothing to be fearful of. I mean, all of us, when we're truthful, are fearful of change. But there is more change here. And I think you're being encouraged to grab that change rather than be fearful of it. Yes, there's more change, and you've been through so much change, but there's more. But normally these changes bring with them good fortune, not bad. So you're very much being encouraged to grab this new change.